Good morning, dear friend. Let's imagine just for a moment that you're sitting on your porch or patio. The sun has just begun to rise, casting soft golden light over your garden. You're cradling a warm mug of coffee or tea, something rich, something familiar. The air is quiet birdsong floating gently through it. You lean forward to deadhead a few petunias, thinking of nothing in particular, until there he is, Bob from next door waving at you with his third cup of coffee in hand. Now, don't get me wrong, Bob is a lovely neighbor, kind-hearted, always ready to lend a ladder or talk tomatoes. But sometimes you just want a little solitude, a quiet morning without performing, a moment of peace without commentary from across the fence. And if you've ever felt that way, just wanting a corner of your garden to be yours, then today's visit is especially for you. Because privacy, my dear, doesn't have to mean high fences or fancy landscapers. It doesn't require heavy lifting or a hefty wallet. In fact, it can be crafted with gentle hands, a bit of creativity, and a few treasures from, would you believe it, Dollar Tree. Over the years, I've discovered that peace can be built from clothespins and placemats, plastic trays, and ribbon. Some of the loveliest privacy screens I've made cost less than a single latte, and they've completely transformed the way I enjoy my space, allowing me to read quietly, garden slowly, or simply sit and breathe, knowing I'm not on display. Today, I'd love to share 25 of those ideas with you. Simple, doable, lovely ways to reclaim your sanctuary, to build yourself a quiet nook where the world fades away and your soul can stretch out and rest. We'll take our time, and I'll walk you through each one gently, as if I were sitting right beside you, hands in the soil, heart full of story. Because in our golden years, we've earned our peace, and our gardens, no matter how big or small, should be places where we can find it. So grab your garden gloves, your second cup of tea, and maybe a cozy sweater. We're about to turn everyday items into something extraordinary. Let's begin. Do you remember those vertical gardens in the glossy magazines? The kind that looked like lush living tapestries full of ivy herbs and cascading blooms with a price tag that could fund a weekend getaway. I used to sigh and think, well, not for me. But then one day I stood in Dollar Tree holding a plastic hanging planter, and an idea began to bloom. It started with a simple shower curtain rod. Yes, the same kind you might already have in your bathroom or tucked away in the garage. I stretched mine between two fence posts near my patio. If your space is covered or has sturdy supports, it works just as well. Then I gathered a few lightweight plastic hanging pots, nothing fancy, and some sturdy zip ties. Here's the gentle beauty of this project. You can thread the zip ties through each planter's hook and loop them over the rod in a row or staggered pattern. 3 in a row for a minimalist look, or a full grid of 5 or 6 for something lush and layered. Now comes the magic planting. For the lowest maintenance version, I tucked in faux trailing vines, soft ivy, delicate ferns, even silk lavender. But if your fingers are itching for soil herbs like thyme, oregano, mint, or even tiny cherry tomatoes do beautifully in these planters. Their scents lift into the air with every breeze. You'll find yourself brushing against them as you sit, releasing perfume into your quiet corner. The result is a wall that breathes, one that moves in the wind, shades your sitting space, and makes you feel like you're in your own little courtyard in Provence. You're not hiding behind a wall, you're cultivating one. And here's what I love most. When you sit behind that wall of green hands curled around your coffee cup, it doesn't feel like you've put up a fence. It feels like you've built a blessing, a green curtain that shields your peace and invites birds, butterflies, and quiet thoughts to join you. It's beauty built from plastic and possibility, and it only takes about half an hour to set up. No nails, no strain, no fuss. Still useful just like us. Remember those old bamboo placemats you once used for summer lunches on the patio? Maybe they're tucked in the back of a drawer, a little curled at the edges, waiting for a second chance. Well, here's that chance, because those humble placemats are about to become your garden's new favorite privacy solution. There's something deeply comforting about weaving. The rhythm of it. The way your hands move slowly, deliberately. This project invites just that sort of gentle meditative motion. Start by laying out a handful of bamboo placemats, the kind you can find at Dollar Tree, or perhaps from your own collection. You'll want at least 6 to create a decent-sized panel, but more if you'd like something wider or taller. Then, using simple twine or jute rope, begin stitching them together. Not with a needle, just looping the twine through the edge slats of each mat and tying it off. It's a bit like lacing up a shoe, only more soothing. Piece by piece, the placemats come together like tiles in a natural mosaic. The texture is earthy, almost woven like old wattle fences from English cottage gardens. You can build them into vertical panels or even hang them horizontally between posts, depending on your space. If you're renting or don't want to use nails, you can attach these woven screens to your fence or pergola with outdoor command hooks. I've done it many times, and they hold beautifully in fair weather. If you have a bit more freedom, small screws or zip ties will secure the panels easily. And here's where the magic unfolds light. When the morning sun peeks through the little gaps in the placemats, it doesn't just shine. It dances. It creates a lacy shadow on your patio floor, dappled soft golden. And in the evenings, as the sun sets, the entire screen glows with warm amber light, turning your outdoor space into something that feels more like a retreat. This isn't just about privacy. It's about mood. It's about creating a space where light and shadow play together, where you can sit quietly and feel enclosed without being shut in. These placemats, forgotten unused, are proof that almost anything in the right hands can be transformed into something beautiful and protective. Just like us, they've still got purpose woven into them. All they needed was a little reimagining. Have you ever held onto a picture frame thinking, "Someday, I'll find the perfect photo for this"? I've done it more times than I can count. But here's a secret I discovered on a rainy afternoon. You don't need a photograph to give a frame purpose. Sometimes all it takes is a bit of fabric and a touch of imagination. This project begins with those unused frames, large or small, wood or plastic. You'll want to carefully remove the glass, which can be recycled or stored safely away. What we want is the frame itself, that lovely empty border waiting to hold something beautiful. Next, head to Dollar Tree and browse their tablecloths and fabric scarves. They often have delightful patterns, vintage florals, bold stripes, calming neutrals. Choose ones that make you smile or reflect the colors already in your garden. Lay the frame face down, stretch the fabric gently across the opening, and secure it with hot glue or a stapler if you have one. Don't worry about perfect tension. A few natural ripples will flutter beautifully in the breeze. Now imagine hanging several of these panels in a row, maybe between two posts along your porch railing or even from the ceiling of a pergola. Each one sways gently, catching sunlight and casting delicate shadows. You haven't just created a privacy screen. You've made an outdoor art gallery curated entirely by you. And here's the special part: these panels can change with the seasons. Lace in spring, velvet in fall. A deep burgundy floral for summer, or soft snowy white in winter. You can swap fabrics easily, just like changing outfits, giving your garden its own seasonal wardrobe. The movement of the fabric adds life. The shifting colors create mood. And at night, when soft string lights glow behind them, they become lanterns, glowing rectangles of color, warmth, and comfort. But beyond all that beauty is something deeper. You've taken something old, something unused, and given it purpose. You've created shelter from fabric scraps. You've made peace from pieces. It's a reminder that we too are still capable of reinvention, still capable of soft strength. And when the wind brushes those panels and they flutter gently in the golden light, it will feel like a quiet affirmation. You made this with your own hands, and it's beautiful. Do you remember the tidy hedgerows from childhood storybooks, trimmed just so, always green, always perfect, like something out of a dream? I used to imagine having one in my own garden until I realized what a chore real hedges could be. The trimming, the shaping, the watering. For some of us, that's no longer a gentle weekend task, it's a burden. But what if we could still have the look without the work? That's where this idea blooms: the faux hedge trellis. And it all starts with plastic trellis panels and artificial grass mats, both easily found at Dollar Tree. Lay your trellis flat. Take the square grass mats, they often look like tiny boxwood leaves, and zip tie them onto the trellis one by one. The panels snap into place with a satisfying click, and the zip ties keep them secure without any heavy tools. You can do the entire project sitting comfortably at a table, no need to bend or lift. Once your green screen is assembled, the possibilities are endless. Lean it against a fence for immediate privacy. place it behind a bench for a cozy nook. Or create a set of 2 or 3 panels and stand them upright like a folding screen to section off your patio. Suddenly your outdoor space feels curated like a private garden room in the middle of a magazine spread. The faux greenery has its own subtle charm. It catches light gently during the day, always green no matter the season, and never wilts. And because it requires no care, it offers a quiet kind of grace, the kind that doesn't demand your energy, but still brings beauty. What I love most is the feeling it gives. There's something deeply calming about looking up from your book or your tea and seeing a wall of green. It's like your own patch of forest keeping the world at bay. A living look built from non-living things, but no less soothing. And here's the truth, sometimes the smartest thing we can do in our gardens is remove the pressure to maintain, to choose peace over perfection. This trellis doesn't grow, but in many ways it lets you grow in calmness, in clarity, in joy. You're not giving up the dream. You're simply making it more gentle, more possible, more yours. When was the last time something playful surprised you in the garden? I'm talking about that kind of surprise that makes you chuckle softly and think, well, now that's clever. That's exactly what happened the first time I strung together a curtain of plastic baskets and turned something ordinary into pure backyard whimsy. This idea is perfect for a moment when you want charm and color without the weight or work of heavy materials. Start with Dollar Tree's small plastic baskets, the kind with handles you'd normally use for storage or kids' toys. Choose colors that make your heart smile, soft greens and blues for a coastal calm, or yellows and pinks for a cheerful cottage feel. Thread a long rope or jute twine through the handles of each basket, spacing them out gently. I like to alternate the direction, one facing forward, the next sideways, to create that spinning, twirling look. Between each basket, you can tie a small bunch of artificial flowers, dried herbs, or even wind chimes made from old keys or spoons. Now hang your creation from a pergola beam, a fence line, or between 2 shepherd's hooks staked into the ground. The basket spins slightly in the breeze, catching light and casting playful shadows on your patio. It's not just a privacy curtain. It's an ever-changing sculpture made of air, light, and joy. And if you want to add a little magic for evenings, tuck a battery-operated LED tea light into a few of the baskets. At dusk, your curtain begins to glow like a string of cozy lanterns. What's beautiful here is the unexpected. Nobody expects a privacy screen made from Dollar Tree baskets to be this delightful. But it is, and that, I think, is the quiet genius of it. This project requires no hammer, no nails. Just gentle hands, a few minutes of threading, and a bit of fun. And what it gives back is more than privacy. It gives delight. A little grin as the wind dances through. A small moment of surprise when the light glows just right. Because in the garden, joy doesn't have to be serious. Sometimes it looks like a row of spinning dollar store baskets turning gently in the summer air, reminding you that privacy can also be play. Have you ever had a space that felt like it was just waiting for a little story to be written somewhere in your garden that needed not just shelter from the outside world, but a little self-expression too? That's what led me to create a privacy screen made from Dollar Tree chalkboard signs, and it's become one of the most unexpectedly personal touches in my outdoor space. The materials are simple, those lightweight rectangular chalkboard signs you'll often find in the school supply or craft aisle. Pick up 6 or more, depending on how large you'd like your screen to be. Then, using small zip ties or bits of twine, connect them side by side, either vertically like a curtain or horizontally like a folding panel. The result is a grid of black slate, sturdy enough to hang yet light enough to handle with ease. Once assembled, hang the panel along a fence, across a patio railing, or even from a wooden dowel between 2 garden stakes. Now comes the fun part. Your canvas is ready. Use white chalk or chalk markers to write garden quotes, notes to yourself, the names of your favorite herbs, or even doodle patterns and leaves. On Monday, you might write, "Breathe deeply, grow gently." By Thursday, maybe it says, "Quiet mornings are sacred." You can draw vines climbing the edges or a little sun in the corner. The beauty of this screen isn't just in the privacy it gives, it's in the way it reflects who you are, what you're feeling, what season you're in, both outside and inside. And if you have grandchildren, oh, what a joy this becomes. Hand them a piece of chalk and let them leave their mark. A tiny heart, a scribbled flower, a silly message that makes you laugh every time you pass by. This panel evolves with your garden, and with your spirit. It changes just like we do, and it proves that privacy can be both functional and filled with personality, not a wall to hide behind, but a story to tell. In our golden years, we've gathered so many thoughts, memories, and little truths worth sharing. And with this chalkboard screen, we let the garden hear them. Because sometimes the best kind of barrier is one that invites a closer look, one that shields with softness and speaks with love. Do you remember hula hoops from childhood? That carefree swirl around your waist, laughter in the air, the bright colors catching the sunlight. I hadn't thought about them in years until one summer afternoon, when I spotted a row of them at Dollar Tree and wondered, could these bring new life to my garden? Turns out they could. This project is one of my favorites, not just because it adds privacy and beauty, but because it brings back a sense of fun and usefulness, all in one. You'll need a few colorful hula hoops, some mesh laundry bags, a bit of rope, and your favorite herbs, basil, parsley, oregano, even a little mint if you're feeling fancy. Lay the hula hoop flat and hot glue a mesh bag inside it like a pocket, creating a shallow hanging planter. Once it's secure, fill it gently with lightweight potting mix and tuck in your herb starts. Now for the magic part, hang these hoops vertically by attaching ropes to the top and suspending them from a pergola beam fence hooks or a wooden crossbar between two stakes. As you line up 3 or 4 side by side or staggered, they become a playful circular privacy screen that's both decorative and delicious. These hoops break up the usual hard lines of fences and decks. Their shape is unexpected soft, and when the herbs grow in and begin to drape slightly over the mesh, you have this glorious mix of movement, fragrance, and color. And the best part, you can step outside, snip a little basil for your sandwich or a sprig of chives for your soup, all while being gently tucked away from view. Your little herb wall becomes a private garden pantry. If mobility is a concern, no need to bend the hoops, hang at eye or chest level. You can tend to them while standing or seated, and they don't take up ground space at all. What this screen offers is more than privacy. It's nourishment for your meals, for your senses, and for your spirit. It's proof that gardening can be vertical, playful, accessible, and deeply rewarding. There's a quiet joy in growing things again, especially when they grow in a way that shields your space, feeds your table, and brings back a little of that childhood sparkle. Sometimes the best garden tools are the ones we never expected. Have you ever watched the sun rise through a window and thought, I wish I could keep this light forever? That golden sparkle, that warmth dancing across the floor. That's the feeling I wanted to capture, and believe it or not, a handful of small Dollar Tree mirrors helped me do just that. This idea brings privacy and light together in the most magical way. Start with a few foam boards. They're light, easy to handle, and you can usually find them in the craft or school aisle. Then collect several small round or square mirrors, the kind with flat backs. Arrange the mirrors into a mosaic pattern. You might space them evenly in rows, or create a more organic, scattered look. Use hot glue or strong adhesive dots to secure them in place. Once finished, mount the foam boards vertically on your fence, the back of a shed, or a wooden frame. You can use command strips, zip ties, or even lean the panel gently against an outdoor wall, and then step back and watch the magic happen. As the sun moves across the sky, each mirror catches a different slice of light. Morning beams reflect into delicate sparkles. Afternoon rays bounce softly into corners of the garden you never noticed before. By evening, your screen becomes a glimmering backdrop like golden confetti floating behind your flowers. But it's not just about the beauty. These mirrored panels also break up sight lines. They reflect your garden, not your neighbor's window. They bend views, scatter focus, and draw the eye inward instead of out. Even the birds enjoy them. I often catch little finches pausing at the screen, tilting their heads, curious about their own reflections. It brings life in unexpected ways. And perhaps most importantly, it brings expansion. Small patios feel deeper. Narrow walkways seem broader. These mirrors don't just reflect light, they reflect possibility. The project itself is delightfully simple. No need to lift anything heavy, no need to hammer or drill. You can assemble it all while sitting at a table, perhaps with soft music playing and a glass of iced tea nearby. There's something healing about working with light, capturing it, shaping it, welcoming it in. Because as we age, we know that privacy isn't about closing off the world. It's about choosing what to let in. And when what you let in is light reflection and quiet wonder, well, that's a sanctuary worth building. Have you ever watched ribbons dance in the wind, perhaps at a childhood fair, or tied to the handlebars of a bicycle, and felt that little tug of joy in your chest? There's something innocent, freeing, even poetic about the way they move. That's exactly the feeling this next privacy screen brings to your garden, and all it takes is a few plastic tablecloths and a gentle breeze. Start by choosing a few colorful plastic tablecloths from Dollar Tree. These are the kind used for birthday parties, lightweight, flexible, and weather-resistant. Pick shades that echo the tones of your garden, soft greens, creams, or lilacs for a calm look, or bold reds, oranges, and corals if you want something with a spark of joy. Lay the tablecloths flat and cut them into long, even strips about an inch wide. You don't need to measure perfectly. A little variation adds charm. These become your streamers. Next, take a shower curtain rod or long wooden dowel and begin tying the strips onto it, knotting each one once close together until the whole rod is filled with flowing color. You can make your curtain as wide or narrow as you like depending on the space. Now hang your ribbon curtain between two posts along a porch railing or even beneath a pergola. The effect is instant as the breeze moves through the ribbons, dance, whisper, and shimmer. It's not just a screen, it's performance art playing to the tune of the wind. And here's something special. As the strips rustle gently, they add not only movement, but sound. A soft, hushed flutter, not quite wine chimes, but a similar soothing rhythm. It's a form of auditory privacy, too gently masking background noise or distant traffic with nature's lullaby. If you want to add a touch of nighttime wonder, weave in a strand of fairy lights behind the ribbons. As the sun sets, the whole curtain begins to glow like a row of stars behind silken threads. What I love most is how alive this screen feels. It responds to nature, never still, always shifting. And in that, it reminds us that we're not meant to be static either. We change with the seasons too. We move with life's winds. This privacy curtain doesn't just hide, it sings. It celebrates the air that moves around us and the quiet spaces we create within. Because sometimes the most beautiful screens are the ones that breathe with us. Have you ever walked into an old church or a quiet sunroom and seen sunlight filter through stained glass, painting the floor in blues, purples, and golds? It feels sacred somehow. So when I stumbled across a stack of clear plastic trays at Dollar Tree, I thought, why not bring that sacred feeling into the garden? This idea transforms the ordinary into something radiant, and it's as gentle and joyful to make as it is to admire. Start with several clear plastic trays. They can be round or rectangular, but the flatter the better. Clean them well, then gather a few small bottles of glass paint or permanent markers in jewel tones: sapphire blue, emerald green, ruby red, soft amber. These colors glow like magic in the sunlight. Lay each tray on a protected surface and begin painting, letting your brush or marker wander. You don't need to be an artist. Even simple swirls, mosaic shapes, or abstract lines work beautifully. What matters is color and light. Leave small gaps between painted sections if you want light to shine through more clearly, or cover the entire surface for a rich, vibrant finish. Once dry, connect the trays together using zip ties or string, creating a panel of 2x4 or more. Then hang your stained glass screen between fence posts on a trellis, or even from a porch beam. When the sun hits it, your entire garden is bathed in color. Morning light through cool blues feels fresh and calming. Afternoon sun glows warm through reds and yellows. And in the evening, with a few lights nearby, the whole panel transforms into glowing garden art. What's remarkable is how this screen offers both beauty and privacy. It softens harsh sunlight and blocks direct views, yet lets color and light through in ways a solid wall never could. And the process of creating it, pure meditation. The slow flow of paint, the quiet sitting, the watching and waiting as colors dry and deepen. Even better, these panels are surprisingly lightweight. You can hang them easily without strain and reposition them with the seasons. Want to store them during the winter, they stack gently and wait for spring's return. This project reminds me that beauty doesn't need to be complicated or costly. It just needs to be intentional, made with love, with color, and with care. Because sometimes, the most private corners of our lives still need a little light filtered gently through something handmade and glowing with grace. Sometimes privacy isn't just needed out in the garden, but looking into it. If you have a glass door or a patio window that faces a neighbor's yard or street, you might have longed for something elegant to soften the view. Curtains feel too heavy. Blinds block out the light. But there's a solution as soft as it is simple frosted contact paper. Now I know what you might be thinking. That sounds a little too crafty for me. But trust me, this is one of the easiest and most satisfying little transformations you can do. And the effect pure elegance. Pick up a roll of frosted or patterned contact paper from Dollar Tree. They often have lovely leaf designs or classic etched glass looks. Start by cleaning your glass well, then measure and trim your contact paper to fit. Don't worry about getting it perfect the first time. The beauty of this material is that it can be repositioned until it's just right. Peel back the paper slowly and apply it top to bottom, smoothing as you go. A credit card or kitchen spatula works wonders to remove bubbles. Take your time. Maybe put on some soft music, have a cup of tea nearby, and let the quiet rhythm of it settle you. When it's done, you'll notice two things immediately. First, the quality of the light. Harsh sun becomes soft and glowing. Your space is bathed in diffused brightness like morning light through fog. And second, the privacy, subtle, complete, and beautiful. You can see vague shapes and movement through the glass, but not details. And no one can see in clearly. This is perfect for indoor-outdoor transition spots. A covered porch, a sunroom, a patio door. It doesn't interrupt your view of the garden's movement, but it gives you control over what comes in visually and energetically. And perhaps that's what I love most. This project is a gentle kind of boundary. It doesn't say stay out. It simply says this space is sacred. Just like us, it lets in light, but on its own terms. When finished, the contact paper is easy to clean, long-lasting, and fully removable if ever you change your mind. But I suspect you won't. Because once you see your garden through this softened, glowing lens, well, you'll feel like you're looking into a dream, one that belongs entirely to you. Do you remember flipping through wallpaper books years ago at the hardware store? Those thick pages filled with florals, damasks, and bold prints that made your imagination spin. I still remember running my fingers over the textures, imagining entire rooms transformed. Well, here's a little secret. You can bring that feeling back without the mess, the glue, or the commitment, and use it to create stunning outdoor privacy screens. All you need is some peel-and-stick wallpaper and a few foam boards from Dollar Tree. Start by choosing a wallpaper pattern that speaks to you. There are so many styles available now: botanical vines, wood grain textures, geometric prints, even vintage florals. Choose something that makes your heart sigh a little. Maybe something that echoes your hostas or plays with the color of your patio cushions. Lay the foam board flat and slowly apply the wallpaper sheet, peeling and smoothing as you go. If you make a mistake, don't worry, this wallpaper is forgiving. Just lift it gently and try again. The process is calming, like wrapping a gift for someone you love, except this gift is for your garden. Once covered, your foam board becomes a piece of art. You can frame it with painted wooden trim if you like, or simply leave the edges clean and modern. Make one panel or several to line up side by side. Attach them to a fence, lean them behind potted plants, or hang them from hooks for a more mobile solution. Because the foam is light and the wallpaper is peel and stick, these screens are easy to move with the seasons. You can even bring them inside during colder months and use them as room dividers or decor behind a reading chair. Outdoors, they serve beautifully to block a neighbor's window, disguise a blank wall, or simply add personality to a quiet corner. The paper holds up surprisingly well in covered areas, and when it's time for a change, you can simply peel it off and start fresh. There's something empowering about that, isn't there? The freedom to change. The joy in easy transformation, especially in this season of life when we're choosing simplicity over struggle. This project proves that practical doesn't have to mean plain. It can be patterned, poetic, personal. And when you sit down beside your new wallpapered screen tea and hand garden blooming around you, you'll know you didn't just build a barrier. You created beauty, your kind of beauty. And you did it gently with your own two hands. Sometimes when we walk through thrift stores or peek into attic boxes, we find those old photo frames, the ones we never quite had the right picture for. But what if instead of memories behind glass, we filled those frames with textures, with color, warmth, and story? That's exactly what this next idea invites you to do. Create a patchwork privacy screen from fabric-filled frames, each one telling its own quiet tale. Begin by gathering several picture frames, any size or shape will do. They don't need to match, in fact, the variety adds charm. Carefully remove the glass and backing from each one so you're left with an open frame. Now comes the fun part: fabric. Head to your craft bin or Dollar Tree and pick out scraps of material that feel good to you. Maybe you love the softness of lace, the richness of velvet, the rustic strength of burlap, or the silky shimmer of old scarves. Even a piece of a favorite old blouse that no longer fits can find new life here. Stretch your chosen fabric across the back of each frame and secure it with hot glue staples or even thumbtacks. The fabric doesn't have to be pulled tight unless you want it to be. A little softness, a little flutter in the wind adds to the magic. Once your frames are ready, tie them together with twine or small hinges, creating a folding screen. Or hang them side by side on a fence, letting sunlight pass gently between the frames. The result is a privacy panel that doesn't just block it, invites. It becomes a visual tapestry, a collage of color and texture that catches the light differently as the day passes. Each piece tells a part of your story. Maybe the lace was from your daughter's wedding. Maybe the velvet reminds you of the chair you loved in your first home. Maybe you don't remember where some pieces came from, and that's okay. They're beautiful simply because they were chosen by you. And the best part, you can change the fabric with the seasons. Bright cottons in spring, cozy plaids in autumn. There's no sewing involved, just warmth, memory, and a bit of play. This screen isn't just about keeping eyes out. It's about letting your essence in. Because as we grow older, we carry so many textures within us: softness, strength, resilience, and color. And sometimes the loveliest way to find peace in a space is to let it reflect who you've become. You know those little plastic garden fence panels from Dollar Tree? The ones most folks pass by without a second glance. Well, I'm here to tell you they hold quiet magic. Not because they're tall or strong, they're neither. But because with a little vision and a can of paint, they can bring harmony to a garden space in the most unexpected way. Here's how it begins. Gather a few of those lightweight, interlocking plastic fence panels. Don't worry about their original color, we're going to transform them. Next, choose a spray paint that speaks to your garden's palette. Maybe a soft sage green to echo your rosemary, a dusty rose to match your knockout roses, or even a deep navy for a bold, dramatic accent against stone. Spread the panels out on a tarp or newspaper in a well-ventilated area and give them a few light coats of paint. Take your time. The act of spraying, watching the old surface disappear and new color emerge. It's incredibly calming, like giving new voice to something overlooked. Once dry, link the panels together and line them along the edges of your garden bed's patio or porch. Because they're short, they won't completely block the view, but they will soften it. And more importantly, they create a gentle visual boundary, a defined edge, a sense of enclosure without closing anything off. You can also layer them, placing a few in front of potted plants or ornamental grasses. Or for more coverage, use small garden stakes to hold them a few inches above ground and weave in trailing vines or faux greenery for depth. Here's what I love most about this: it doesn't scream, "Keep out." It whispers, "This space is tended. This space is cared for." It doesn't build a wall, it invites a pause. The painted panels blend seamlessly into your environment, becoming part of the conversation instead of interrupting it. And when you sit nearby, cup of tea in hand, they remind you of something gentle, that privacy isn't always about height, it's about harmony. And isn't that what we're all seeking in our gardens? Not separation, but balance. A way to shape our spaces so they hold both openness and rest. These little panels, once plain and forgotten, become threads in the fabric of your retreat. All it takes is color, care, and a bit of trust in your creative hands. Because sometimes peace isn't found in big gestures, but in small painted borders that remind us where our sanctuary begins. There's something so deeply soothing about patterns. The repetition, the rhythm, the quiet satisfaction of fitting pieces together just right. That's why this next project might become one of your favorite ways to create calm and privacy in your garden. turning humble wooden craft sticks into a geometric screen that feels like art and sanctuary all at once. Start with a bundle of wooden craft sticks, you know, the kind that look like popsicle sticks. You can find them at Dollar Tree in the craft section. Get as many as you like, the more you have the bigger and more intricate your screen can be. Lay out your sticks on a flat surface and begin forming simple shapes. Hexagons are lovely and classic, but diamonds, triangles, and even honeycomb patterns work just as well. You don't need a ruler or a compass. Let your eye guide you. Glue each point where the sticks meet using hot glue or a strong craft adhesive. As the shapes come together, you'll notice a beautiful pattern emerging, something almost quilt-like, but in wood. Once you have several shapes formed, connect them into larger panels. Back them with mesh fabric or leave them open if you like a more airy screen. These panels can be mounted in a wooden frame, tied with twine to a fence, or hung like a room divider. The natural wood adds warmth, and the negative spaces between shapes filter light in the most delightful ways, dappling it gently onto the patio floor, onto leaves, onto your lap as you read. You can leave the wood natural or stain it to match your garden tones. A soft walnut, a whitewash, even cheerful pastels, each gives its own personality. And here's what makes this screen so special: the process. The act of gluing each stick, watching the design grow slowly, is like meditation. You're not just building something functional, you're engaging with a rhythm that brings quiet to the heart and stillness to the mind. Physically, it's light and gentle on the hands. No heavy lifting, no complicated tools. Just the simple joy of arranging, connecting, and creating. And emotionally, it reminds us that we are still builders of beauty, of boundaries, of peace. Even now. Especially now. Because privacy doesn't always need a wall. Sometimes it just needs pattern, something to catch the eye, filter the light, and hold the space gently. And when you hang that geometric screen and sit quietly beside it, watching the sun trace shadows through your design, you'll know this was made with love from the simplest of things. And that is the truest kind of art. Sometimes the simplest things create the softest transformations. And I learned that lesson the day I turned a stack of plastic tablecloths into flowing, graceful garden drapes. Not heavy, not expensive, not complicated. Just light, breezy privacy that moved with the wind and made me feel like I had my own secret garden retreat. Start with a few plastic tablecloths from Dollar Tree, the kind you'd use for a picnic or birthday party. They come in lovely colors and soft pastels, and many of them are large enough to fold or layer if you want something fuller. Choose tones that soothe you: ivory, sage, sky blue, lavender, or maybe a cheerful coral if you want to brighten a shady corner. Fold each tablecloth lengthwise until it's the width you like. Think long ribbons of fabric, almost like curtains. You can trim the edges for a cleaner look or leave them natural. Then, using binder clips or small curtain rings with hooks, attach each drape to a shower curtain rod or tension rod. These can stretch easily between two fence posts, porch columns, or even shepherd's hooks in the ground. Now stand back. What you've created is soft movement, gentle color. A way for the breeze to flow through your space while giving you just enough of a barrier to feel tucked away. You can tie the drapes back during the day and let them fall loose in the evening, creating a sense of ritual like closing the door on the busy world outside. And the way the light moves through them, it's pure poetry. Morning sun makes them glow softly like lanterns. Afternoon light filters through in soft hues that feel calming and kind. They don't block every view, and they're not meant to. They're about suggestion, about hinting at boundaries instead of drawing hard lines, about letting your garden feel like a room with walls made of air and color. Best of all, these drapes are incredibly lightweight. No strain to hang, no worry about fabric that needs special care. If one wears out, you simply replace it. And because they're water-resistant, they hold up surprisingly well during spring mist or morning dew. Sometimes I sit just behind mine in the early evening, book in hand, watching the fabric ripple like the surface of a still pond. And I feel at peace, because even though I know I'm only steps away from my neighbor's yard, I feel like I'm in a place of my own making. A soft retreat, a whisper of privacy. And it all started with a picnic tablecloth. Have you ever looked at a plastic laundry basket, one of those sturdy hole-punched bins from Dollar Tree, and thought, there's got to be more, this could do? I had that exact thought while sorting my garden gloves one day, and what came from it was a trellis. Unlike anything I'd seen before, light, unexpected, and wonderfully effective at creating privacy. Here's how it begins. Take one or more plastic laundry baskets, the kind with the oval holes or lattice sides. With a simple pair of strong scissors or garden snips, carefully cut away the bottom and top rim, leaving just the curved side walls. What you're left with is a flexible, lightweight panel like a curved plastic screen full of open spaces. Lay them flat if you want a straighter shape, or keep their natural curve if you like a more organic, flowing design. Then zip tie the panels to a wooden frame, garden stakes, or directly onto an existing fence. You can even link multiple panels together to create a wide trellis wall. Now comes the creative part, weaving. You can thread artificial vines through the holes. Or if you have real climbers like morning glories, sweet peas, or even pole beans, plant them at the base and guide the tendrils up through the openings. Over time, they'll wind their way through the plastic lattice, softening its structure and adding a lush, living layer of green. The effect, a semi-private curved trellis screen that looks like it was designed by someone who knows gardens and appreciates whimsy. This trellis is especially useful for corner spaces or awkward gaps where a traditional panel might not fit. And because it's made from repurposed baskets, it's incredibly lightweight, no-lifting heavy wooden trellises or metal grids. If you're feeling playful, you can even paint the basket pieces with spray paint, maybe a soft sage to match your mint, or a dusky plum to echo your clematis blooms. Add a few solar-powered fairy lights for nighttime sparkle, and you've created something both practical and magical. But what I love most about this idea is the transformation, not just of a laundry basket into a trellis, but of mindset, of seeing usefulness where most people see discard, of crafting privacy not with walls, but with curves and holes and vines that bloom where no one expected them. It's a quiet kind of creativity, the kind that turns a forgotten corner into a sanctuary, the kind that reminds us that even the most ordinary things can support something beautiful, just like us. Do you ever find yourself holding one of those red mesh bags after emptying a bunch of onions or oranges and wondering if you should really toss it? I used to too, until I realized that what looked like trash was actually the start of something colorful, clever, and kind to the planet. A breezy, breathable privacy curtain made from produce bags. This is one of those projects that feels like a quiet wink from the universe, reminding us that usefulness doesn't always come in shiny packaging. Start collecting mesh produce bags. They often come in red, orange, green, or even purple, depending on the fruit. Rinse and dry them well, then trim off any jagged edges or labels. You'll be left with long cylinders of flexible mesh. Think of them as ribbon with texture. Cut them lengthwise to open each bag into a flat rectangle. Then fold or layer them into strips and tie them gently onto a rope curtain rod or wire clothesline. You can stagger the colors for a playful rainbow effect or keep them in similar shades for a soft tonal look. The more strips you add, the fuller and more private your curtain becomes. Now hang it between two posts from a porch beam or even between shepherd's hooks. As the breeze flows through the mesh, move softly, creating a subtle dance of color and shadow. It's light, breathable, and surprisingly beautiful. Want a little extra charm? Weave in a strand of string lights behind the mesh, or add small dried flowers or artificial leaves tucked into the netting. At sunset, the whole screen takes on a warm golden glow, filtering light while offering just the right amount of coverage. And here's something special: the holes in the mesh let you see movement without full detail. You feel safely tucked away, yet still connected to the life around you. Birds fluttering by branches, swaying, butterflies pausing for a visit. It's privacy without isolation. And because these materials were bound for the trash, this screen carries a quiet kind of pride. A sense that even the smallest, most disposable things, when gathered with intention, can become part of something beautiful. Like many of us in this season of life, these bags have already served one purpose, and now they get to serve another, adding color, texture, and peace to your garden. It's not just a curtain, it's a celebration of second chances. Have you ever stood in the kitchen section at Dollar Tree, looked at those simple wire cooling racks, and thought, these could be more than just baking tools? I had that thought one afternoon while looking for a lightweight trellis solution. And what came out of it was a striking grid-style privacy wall that added both structure and surprise to my garden. It starts with those basic rectangular metal cooling racks, usually sold in sets of 2 or 3. They're lightweight, durable, and wonderfully open, which makes them perfect for layering privacy without blocking air or light. Begin by zip-tying the racks together vertically or horizontally, depending on your space, to form a larger panel. You can build a narrow column to screen one side of a porch, or create a full wall by linking several sets together in a wider grid. Next, find a place to mount your new screen. Because the racks are so light, you can hang them easily from fence panels, porch posts, or garden stakes. Use more zip ties, S-hooks, or even small cup hooks screwed into wood, whatever feels easiest for your setup. Now comes the fun part, the personalization. Use the open grid of the racks to display small items that bring you joy. Hang lightweight terracotta pots filled with trailing ivy or faux flowers. Clip on garden gloves or seed packets for a touch of charm. Use twine to suspend dried herbs, old spoons, or tiny wind chimes. For a nighttime glow, wrap a strand of fairy lights through the mesh the wire tucks in naturally, and the light dances delicately through the grid. The beauty of this rack wall is its adaptability. You can leave parts open and airy or fill them in with decorations and plants as the seasons shift. It's not a wall that says, "Keep out." It's a wall that says, "This space is cared for." And just like baking a loaf of bread, the process of assembling it is steady and satisfying. You sit with your materials, work piece by piece, and soon, almost without realizing it, you've made something useful and beautiful. Even better, you can do the whole project seated with no need for heavy tools or ladders. I love how this screen balances strength with openness. Like many of us, it's held together with simple ties shaped by years of usefulness, and now it gets to do something entirely new. Because privacy doesn't always need to be solid. Sometimes it's a grid, strong, flexible, and ready for whatever you decide to hang upon it. Every gardener I know has a little stash of forgotten corner where old tools gather dust. Rusted hand trowels, mismatched gloves, a rake head with no handle. And every time I pass by mine, I hear a whisper. Still useful. That whisper became inspiration, and it led to one of the most soulful, unexpected privacy screens I've ever created. A curtain made from well-loved garden tools. This isn't a project about perfection. It's about honoring the beauty in what's weathered and worn. Start by gathering a few small, lightweight garden items. A handful of hand tools, old trowels, cultivators, pruning shears. Add a pair of gloves that have seen better days. Maybe even a few faded seed packets or wooden plant markers. Next, take a long piece of twine rope or sturdy jute and begin tying these tools on at intervals. You can knot them directly, use small wire loops, or clip them on with binder clips for easy rearranging. Stagger the heights so they hang like a mobile, some near eye level, others lower like wind chimes. Hang your creation between two posts, beneath a pergola, or along a fence, wherever a little coverage and a lot of character are welcome. You'll be amazed at how the tools move in the breeze, the occasional clink of metal, the gentle sway of fabric. It doesn't feel cluttered, it feels storied. If you'd like to soften the look, weave in a strand of greenery, real or artificial, or add a few sprigs of lavender or rosemary. The scent brings something grounding, something alive to the stillness of these old tools. This screen is deeply personal. You're not just creating privacy. You're honoring your past seasons of gardening, the lessons, the laughter, even the sore knees and sunburned shoulders. Every tool has touched soil. Every stain has a story. It's also a lovely conversation piece. When friends visit, they notice the odd little spade hanging next to a glove, and soon you're telling them about the time it helped you dig up your first iris, or how you dropped it in the compost and didn't find it again for 3 weeks. And isn't that what privacy can also be? A chance to pause, a place where memory hangs beside beauty, where function meets reflection. This screen doesn't block the world out harshly. It draws your world in gently. It says, here is a space built from history, from hands that worked the earth. And here is where those hands now rest, sip tea, and simply be. Every once in a while sorting through kitchen odds and ends, I find myself staring at an old pot lid, maybe a little dented, missing its handle, and wondering if it's time to let it go. But something about its round shape, its gleam, its weight in the hand, made me pause. And that pause turned into inspiration. That lid became a mirror a shield, a soft, shimmering wall of light and story. That's how this next privacy idea was born. A screen made from hanging metal pot lids, vintage and new, all from Dollar Tree or second-hand bins that turn sunlight into sparkle and garden edges into gentle borders. Begin by gathering a few lightweight pot lids. Look for those with shiny finishes, stainless steel, brushed metal, or even enamel. If the handles are intact, even better. If they've broken off, you can use the holes left behind to loop in your hanging twine or hooks. Using strong twine, thin rope, or S-hooks, hang the lids at varying heights from a horizontal rod or thick branch. Think of it like creating a wind chime, irregular spacing, different sizes, all dancing slightly in the breeze. You can hang them close together for more privacy or spread them wide to let light pass through. When the sun hits these lids, something truly magical happens. They reflect the world around them, the movement of leaves, the shift of clouds, the glow of the setting sun. The lids don't mirror perfectly like glass, but they shimmer. They catch flashes of golden light and bounce it gently across your patio floor, onto flower petals, and across your lap as you sit nearby. Some gardeners like to leave the lids just as they are, a celebration of patina and imperfection. Others enjoy painting them a soft floral pattern, a favorite quote, or even a stenciled design around the edges. Either way, each lid becomes a little portal, reflecting, moving, offering shelter without hiding you completely. The sound they make subtle, a soft clink in the breeze. Not noisy, not clangy. Just enough to remind you that something handmade and meaningful is nearby. What I love most about this screen is that it feels alive. It plays with light. It changes hourly. It reminds me that privacy doesn't have to be silent, and still it can glimmer. It can hum. It can whisper stories in metal and shine. And it's a gentle nudge to look again at the ordinary, because sometimes a scratched old lid is really just a mirror waiting to find its light, just like us. Sometimes all it takes is a single piece of fabric to change how a space feels, to turn a corner of your yard into a sanctuary, or to make a fence line feel like part of a peaceful room. That's exactly the kind of transformation a simple Dollar Tree shower curtain can bring. Yes, a shower curtain, not for the bathroom this time, but for the backyard, repurposed as a flowing, beautiful privacy tapestry. These vinyl or fabric curtains often come in surprisingly lovely prints, florals that look like watercolors, beachy themes that soothe the eyes, or abstract patterns that feel modern and fresh. And because they're large, waterproof, and come with holes already built in, they make perfect ready-to-hang garden panels. Here's how to turn one into a privacy screen that feels more like a piece of art. First, choose a design that speaks to you, maybe something soft and botanical that echoes your favorite flowers, or a curtain with warm tones to match your outdoor cushions. Next, find a hanging spot between two trees, across a pergola, along a porch railing, or even strung between shepherd's hooks using a tension rod or sturdy rope. Use S-hooks, twine, or zip ties to hang the curtain through its built-in grommets. No need to add anything extra, it's ready to go. And once it's up, take a few steps back. What you'll see is something instantly grounding. A soft wall where there once was none. The curtain flutters gently in the wind but stays anchored, offering shade, privacy, and atmosphere. It becomes a focal point, not just a screen, but a backdrop. Sit in front of it with a cup of tea and you'll feel like you've stepped into a little open-air room. A garden retreat. A nook where the outside world pauses at the edges and gives you room to breathe. What I love most is how effortless this project is. There's no cutting, no painting, no assembly required. And yet it brings a sense of completion to a space. A feeling of thoughtfulness. As if your garden, like your home, was dressed and waiting to welcome you. Over time, you can change the curtain with the seasons. Something bright for summer, something cozy and earthy for fall. Because it's lightweight, it's easy to take down, clean, or store when needed. And maybe that's the most beautiful part of all. It asks very little of you, but gives you so much. A quiet corner, a touch of softness, a reminder that privacy doesn't have to be built. Sometimes it just needs to be hung with care and a bit of heart. There's a certain magic that happens when you walk through a garden and see flowers cascading from above, like nature's own celebration, falling in soft layers of bloom and color. That feeling inspired this next idea, A plastic flower garland wall that brings joy, privacy, and a little bit of fairy tale wonder into your space, all with a few Dollar Tree florals and some string. Start by choosing several bunches of artificial flowers. Don't be afraid to mix styles: trailing wisteria, bold sunflowers, delicate roses, or soft baby's breath. Dollar Tree often offers seasonal blooms in rich palettes. Think creamy whites, pastel blues, or vibrant autumn shades. Choose what speaks to you and your garden's mood. Next, cut twine or jute rope into lengths depending on how high you want your garland wall to hang. You'll be tying the flowers onto the rope one by one, spacing them close together for a dense curtain-like effect, or farther apart for a light, airy feel. As you tie them on, allow some to dangle lower than others, creating visual interest and soft movement. You can also weave in pieces of faux greenery to break up the color and add a more natural flow. Once you've created several long strands, hang them side by side from a shower curtain, rod, a wooden pole, or a stretched line of rope between fence posts. The result is enchanting. When the wind picks up, the garlands sway like living ribbons. The flowers gently knock against each other, creating a soft rustle. The colors shift and shine in the sun, casting flower-shaped shadows on your patio floor or garden wall. Behind it all, you sit, shaded, softened, surrounded. This floral wall doesn't just give privacy, it gives presence. It transforms any spot, even a plain concrete slab, into something lush and layered, something joyful. And best of all, it's low maintenance. No watering, no wilting, just seasonal happiness on display. You can change the flowers each season: pastels for spring, bold reds and oranges in fall, or keep one favorite palette all year long. If you're feeling extra whimsical, tuck small solar lights into the garlands, letting them glow softly as night falls. Or weave a ribbon or lace strip through the top row for added charm. This project reminds me that beauty doesn't have to bloom from the soil. Sometimes it hangs from string. Sometimes it's made with hands that aren't as strong as they once were, but are still just as loving. Because your garden isn't just a place for plants, it's a place for magic memory and making things that make you smile. And this garland wall, it's a smile in full bloom. Macrame, that intricate knotting of cotton rope into lacy, dreamy patterns, has long been a favorite for adding softness to a space. But traditional macrame can be time-consuming, and for those of us with hands that ache or eyes that tire quickly, it might feel out of reach. That's why I love this Dollar Tree alternative, a DIY macrame look panel made from cotton mop heads or thick white twine. It gives you all the charm of a hand-woven screen with none of the strain. Start by picking up a few cotton mop heads from Dollar Tree. You'll want the kind with long white strands. They drape beautifully and look surprisingly elegant when displayed in layers. Carefully remove the mop strands from the plastic base. You'll be left with long lengths of soft, slightly crimped rope, perfect for this project. Take a wooden dowel, tension rod, or sturdy branch and begin looping each mop strand over the top using a simple lark's head knot. Just fold the strand in half, slide the loop under the rod, and pull the loose ends through. Repeat this until your rod is full and the strands hang down evenly. At this point, you already have a beautiful flowing curtain. But if you'd like, you can take it a step further. Trim the bottom into a gentle V shape or angle. Weave a few horizontal rows with twine to add dimension, or even thread in beads or faux greenery for texture. Once finished, hang your macrame look panel wherever you'd like to add softness and privacy: behind a garden bench, between porch beams, or even as a gentle backdrop for your favorite reading chair. The result is delicate and dreamy. The strands move in the breeze, casting soft shadows. The white cotton brightens dark corners, and the handmade look brings a sense of calm and craft, even though no knotting expertise is required. This project is especially lovely for covered patios or shaded garden rooms. It brings that indoor-outdoor warmth we so often crave, making your garden feel less like a yard and more like a sanctuary. And here's the quiet truth behind it: what you've really made isn't just a screen. It's a moment. A still, peaceful moment strung up and flowing gently behind you as you sip your tea or write in your notebook. You didn't need a pattern. You didn't need to follow anyone's rules. You simply gathered the strands of your creativity and let them fall. And sometimes, dear friend, that's all we need: a few quiet fibers gently placed to remind us that beauty still flows through these hands. As the sun sets and your garden shifts from bright and bustling to quiet and golden, there's something deeply comforting about a gentle light that begins to glow behind the leaves. Not glaring, not showy, just soft and steady like a hush wrapped in sparkle. That's exactly the feeling this final privacy idea brings: a twinkle light mesh wall made from laundry bags and string lights. Simple, peaceful, glowing with calm. Start with several mesh laundry bags from Dollar Tree, the kind with small holes and zip closures usually sold in packs. Choose white or neutral ones for maximum light diffusion. Then gather a strand or two of soft, warm white LED fairy lights. Battery-powered is ideal, especially for spaces without outlets. Unzip each laundry bag and slide a portion of the fairy light strand inside, zigzagging it gently to distribute the glow. Zip it shut. Now you have a glowing panel like a starry pocket. Repeat this with several bags to create 3, 5, or even 7 light panels. Once your glowing panels are ready, hang them vertically in a row from a tension rod porch beam or garden hooks. You can space them close for more coverage or let them sway gently with open air in between. At night, the effect is breathtaking. Each mesh panel glows softly, the light diffused like fireflies behind a veil. It offers privacy not by hiding but by shifting the focus, pulling your gaze inward toward the warm glow and away from the busy world beyond the fence. What I love most is how easy this is to set up. No tools, no ladders, no cords, stretched dangerously across the patio. You can do it all from a chair. The mesh is featherlight. The light's gentle and safe. And this project doesn't just provide a nighttime screen. It transforms your evening routine. Suddenly, watering plants at dusk feels magical. Reading becomes softer. Even sitting still in the dark feels like an experience, surrounded by quiet, surrounded by light. This wall is for those twilight hours when the garden shifts from active to still, when birds settle, when air cools, when your heart begins to settle too. And here in that light made from the most ordinary materials, you're reminded that the small things still matter. That beauty doesn't have to cost anything. That even a laundry bag and a string of lights can offer comfort, sanctuary, and a sense of quiet joy. Because in the end, privacy is about more than blocking the view. It's about creating a space that invites peace. And sometimes peace looks like a glow behind a mesh curtain twinkling just for you. So here we are, dear friend. 25 gentle ideas, each one crafted from the most unexpected places: baskets and mop heads, mirrors and tablecloths, placemats and plastic trays. Not a single one required fancy tools or heavy lifting. Not one asked for perfection, just imagination and a pair of willing hands. I hope by now you see what I've come to believe with all my heart, that privacy isn't about shutting out the world, it's about letting yourself in. It's about creating spaces where you can breathe without performance, sit without scrutiny, and exist without apology. When we reach these golden years, our gardens become more than places for plants. They become reflections of what we've learned: that softness is strength, that stillness has value, and that beauty often blooms in the most unexpected places. Each of these privacy screens is a small act of reclaiming space, not just physical space, but emotional space. Space to think, to dream, to pause, to return to who you were before the world asked you to be everything for everyone. And what I love most is how these projects turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. A cooling rack becomes a trellis, a mop becomes macrame, a laundry basket becomes a garden wall. And in that, we're reminded of something deeper: that we too are not done, that we still have the power to create something beautiful with our own 2 hands. So next time you find yourself sitting quietly in your garden, hearing the rustle of vines against a plastic trellis, or watching the evening sun spill through a stained glass panel you made yourself, I hope you feel a sense of pride. Not because it was expensive, not because it's impressive, but because it's yours. You shaped it. You made it safe. You made it soft. You made it sacred. That's the heart of these ideas, not just to make a screen, but to craft a sanctuary. To honor the beauty of aging with grace and creativity. To remind you that you're still growing, still useful, still radiant. And now I'd love to know, which idea brought a smile to your face? Was it the flower garland that felt like a storybook? The chalkboard panel where your grandchildren might draw a sun? The Twinkle light mesh wall that makes you feel like stars have come to visit your backyard. Tell me in the comments below. I love hearing how these ideas find new homes, how they become part of your space, your story, your piece. And if you try any of these, I'd be so delighted to see a photo. It's a joy beyond words to watch this community bloom one creative soul at a time. Be sure to subscribe if you'd like more peaceful, practical inspiration. Around here, we believe your golden years are still full of golden moments, and your hands, they still make magic. Until next time, happy gardening, dear friend. May your mornings be quiet, your corners be cozy, and your creativity never run dry.